Hello everybody. In this video we'll try to understand some more interesting things about Ashwini Nakshatra. Ashwini Nakshatra is fundamentally related to creation. It is also related to medicines. See, Ashwini represents the first impulse of creation. We have seen how Ashwini Nakshatra is related to the creation of the universe even in our previous video. So Ashwini represents the first impulse of creation, the moment when life begins to move actually. So the same energy that creates life is also the one that heals life. Because healing is simply recreation, right? Or you can say healing is a kind of restoration of the original order. And see, we have something called as Ayurveda. In Vedic sciences, you have Ayurveda. That's a science of life basically. Ayurveda means science of life. In that, Ayush is nothing but life. So to heal doesn't mean to fix something foreign actually. It means to reconnect to the source of life. Right? See, Ashwini Kumaras are the first manifestation of life energy. That is, life energy in Sanskrit is called as prana. So Ashwini Kumaras are very much related to this fundamental energy called as prana. Ashwini, if you ask me to say something about Ashwini, if you want to equate Ashwini, then the best word is prana. So Ashwini Kumaras are the first manifestation of this particular prana energy. From that prana, they actually brought two things. One is life, another one is healing. Basically, Ashwini Nakshatra means the Ashwini Kumaras, the two Kumaras are actually representing, one is representing the life, another one is representing the healing. And life and healing go side by side. So thereby they are actually carrying a blueprint of perfect health. So they heal because they remember how creation originally arranged itself in the harmony, as we discussed in our previous video. So when nothing was present, only consciousness and awareness present, and that too before that state also, it was not consciousness and awareness, it was a single entity, and there was no separation between this awareness and consciousness. Later, awareness came to the vibration of life, vibration of a kind of earthly plane, you can say. So the vibration of that particular awareness changed. Thereby, consciousness also tried to unite with the awareness. So it had to change its vibration and united with awareness, and thereby you could see prana was born. Prana was the fundamental thing that was born, and from the prana the duality was born. The duality is life and healing, and thereby everything in the universe became a kind of dual, especially on the earthly plane. So that's why in order to create something on the earth, you need two people. And see, even in Rig Veda, you can see Rig Veda calls Ashwins, basically the Ashwini Kumaras, as Divyayu Bhishajayu, means the twin celestial physicians. That is the name given to Ashwini Kumaras in Rig Veda. Because they can restore sight to the blind, youth to the aged, and movement to the lame even. So they actually bring, in Rig Veda it is clearly mentioned, Ashwini Kumaras can bring what is called as Ushas. Ushas means the dawn, light after darkness, the life after inertia. That's what they could bring. Because initially when nothing was present, even awareness and consciousness when they were also together, that's a kind of, that state was a kind of inertia. And after that, at the region of this Ashwini Nakshatra, where this, the awareness and this consciousness united and gave the birth of prana. And from prana, the life and healing were born. So every healing story attributed to Ashwini Kumaras is really a metaphor for bringing prana back to flow, restoring the movement of life. So when prana flows freely, tissues, mind and emotions are nourished. So Ayurveda basically, it focused on prana. So when this particular energy called prana is blocked, illness appears. Because see, Ashwini represents the first motion of prana, is invoking or meditating on its energy naturally stimulates renewal and repair. So that's why this particular nakshatra, Ashwini Nakshatra, and its deities became patrons of medicine, rejuvenation, and rapid recovery. So in the zodiacal cycle, Ashwini stands at the very beginning of Aries, the Mesha Rasi, the sign ruled by Mars, planet of energy and action. So it combines vital fire, that's Mars, with restorative intelligence, that is Ashwini Kumaras. So this makes it the cosmic physician's doorway. So energy directed toward renewal. Because life and healing, they go side by side. In the Ashwini Kumaras, if one Kumara is life, another one is healing. So Ashwini is the original healing pulse of creation. The same current that animates life also restores it when disturbed. So to heal is simply to let creation happen again. That's it, right? So to return to that first perfect movement. Restoration. So Ashwini is, of course, it's not directly about medicine in the limited sense of, the pills and herbs that you're seeing on the earthly plane. It's about the living intelligence that knows how to repair itself. Right? So Ashwini is about restoring that prana. So restoring that prana, restoring any organs, any the physical organ that you're seeing, restoring its energy, recreating its energy so that it is perfect. So that is the fundamental behavior of Ashwini Nakshatra. So it's a perfect nakshatra of creation, right? Then you might be thinking, most of us say Saturn is not comfortable in this Ashwini Nakshatra, right? Ashwini is the nakshatra of creation. It is a vitality. It is spontaneous life force. It's bright, it's fast, it's youthful, and it's full of beginnings. Then it's a very, very good nakshatra, the nakshatra that actually, the nakshatra where this whole creation happened, you can say. Then in Vedic astrology, of course, Saturn was treated as a naturally malefic planet, but it is also attributed some divine qualities, right? So if you observe Ashwini Nakshatra's nature, it's fiery because of that Aries energy. It's impulsive, youthful, fast moving, always starting fresh, because that's how universe actually started. The moment, if you observe, the consciousness and awareness, they got separated and again they came to a lower vibration and they united. That particular action itself is impulsive, right? It's very, very impulsive. It's very fast moving. It's a very, and it created the universe. It's very youthful and it is a fresh energy. And then if you observe the Saturn's nature, it is very slow, it's heavy, it's a kind of disciplined planet, mature planet. Whereas Ashwini's nature is very young and fresh, because that's where the universe creation happened. So very, very fresh energy, very youthful energy. And Saturn is always about maturity. And Saturn is very cautious. The energy of Saturn is very cautious. But if you observe the nature of Ashwini, see how the universe happened. If there was some kind of cautiousness, that awareness and consciousness might not have even separated, and then again reunited, right? They were not cautious. That was a kind of impulsive action happened the time of universe creation. So this Saturn's nature is a bit, it's cautious, it's time bound, it's very much attached to its duty. Whereas this consciousness and awareness, if you observe the kind of nature, they got separated and then reunited. That behavior itself, it seems to be like they did not follow the duty kind of impression we get, right? So that is the kind of behavior, that's the kind of sense that you're getting from there. So but that is very impulsive, very quick, whereas Saturn is very slow. So you can clearly see they are both, of course, sacred energies, but they move in opposite directions. The Saturn's energy and the Ashwini Nakshatra's energy, the place where the universe created, Ashwini Nakshatra. So Ashwini is a kind of, it says, okay, you start it, initiate it, begin. That is the behavior of Ashwini energy. Whereas Saturn is something like wait, master yourself first, take some time. That is the behavior of Saturn. So when Saturn is placed in Ashwini Nakshatra, the soul's energy feels pulled between the urge to rush forward and the need to move slowly and responsibly. So this tension makes Saturn very much uncomfortable. So it's something like Saturn is a kind of old sage, and Ashwini is a kind of fastly moving restless horse. Then when Saturn is in the nakshatra, in Ashwini Nakshatra, it's something like an old sage riding a young or a kind of restless, speedy horse. How it would look like? It's very uncomfortable. So Aries, the sign where Ashwini lies, is fire. That's where this heat, initiation, courage. This is what we talk about when you say something about Aries. So Saturn is a kind of air, or it's a kind of earthy nature. It's very cold. It's structured. It's a kind of enduring nature it has. So fire wants to ignite, but Saturn wants to crystallize. So basically the result is that Saturn's cautious long-term planning can feel, it's a kind of it's not so much suitable for Ashwini's impulsive energy, right? So you can see the two energies are completely opposite. They are something like they are two different poles altogether. So the Ashwini Kumaras even are the physicians of the gods. They bring quick remedies and fast healing. Saturn, on the other hand, it rules karma, it rules the delay and slow maturation through pain. Saturn says, okay, you need to take pain, you need that maturity level. Then only your karma will go, then only things will happen. But Ashwini is not like that. Ashwini needs some quick remedies. It provides some fast healing. But Saturn teaches through time, limitation, and responsibility. Behavior is completely opposite. So in the nakshatra of a swift recovery and instant vitality, Saturn's message of patience and karmic duty doesn't resonate at all, right? So, but still Saturn, if Saturn is present in the Ashwini Nakshatra for you, it still has to work, but the lessons become about, learning patience. Uh, when you are very much eager, right? So, when Saturn is present in the Ashwini Nakshatra for a particular person, how he feels? He is very eager to get something, but he is getting a situation where he has to learn in that same situation. He will get an opportunity to learn patience. You're getting it? So as he has some Ashwini, a person has Saturn in Ashwini Nakshatra, and what it means, as he has Ashwini activated by Saturn, the person has that Ashwini Nakshatra with Saturn's influence, so he is eager to get something in the life, but he may not get it, because that's the area where, that's the situation where he can learn patience. So this kind of situations a person can get. So it's not a very good thing when when somebody is eager to get something and he is denied the service. How he feels? He feels bad, right? That's why people say when Saturn is in Ashwini Nakshatra, people get this kind of situations. You have vitality, but you need some discipline. Saturn says you have some discipline. I'm not allowing you to do anything with your vitality, until and unless you learn some discipline. How it feels? You feel bad, right? So a person having Saturn in Ashwini encounter this kind of situations in the life. So this comfort is not very bad, but to some extent, if you observe, right? So it's a kind of integration of opposites. So when Saturn is in Ashwini, the soul is learning how to bring endurance to beginnings. You want to begin something, but this endurance to beginnings Saturn will bring. How to ground your creative energy into lasting structure. So when you will learn these things. When you are going to start something, you're not going to start it very quickly. Instead, you learn how to plan a lot, and then you begin. So you will learn this kind of things in your life when Saturn is in Ashwini Nakshatra. So if you're means if the person having Saturn in the Ashwini Nakshatra can learn this balance, and that balance is what? This not rushing into the things, not you know um, doing things very quickly, then Saturn here can become the master builder of divine energy. That is also possible, right? So it's something like creation that lost forever. That kind of, they can become that kind of creators. So I would say Saturn in Ashwini, of course, can create this kind of situations in your life, right? Whatever we talked about. But if you learn through it, then it is a kind of great, uh, you know, uh, it's a very great thing, I would say. Even Saturn in Ashwini is also a very good thing if you're able to pass all those tests, if you learn that patience, and if you will become master builder of that divine energy, I can say that. So Saturn is uncomfortable in Ashwini basically because creation's wild newborn energy moves faster than time's slow hand. When creation wants to happen very quickly, Saturn says, please wait, you need to learn this, you need to learn that, you need some patience, you need some lessons. So this is the kind of energy, but once you are able to go through that phase, right, means once you if you mastered it, then this placement can produce people who channel this cosmic vitality into real and some enduring work. So It's a very great thing. Even if you are into spirituality, if you're very much spiritual person because of the other planetary positions in your uh, horoscope, and if you're a kind of having this Saturn in Ashwini, even you can build a bridge between spirit and matter, right? That is also possible. That much this particular placement can give, right? So you can say there is no concept of patience in Ashwini Nakshatra, because it is a kind of it is a very quick how this creation happened, just very impulsive, right? And because you can see how the whole creation happened. There was no discipline, there was no kind of delay, it was very 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 quick and impulsive, right? Because if this discipline, if this patience, and all of them were present in the Ashwini Nakshatra itself, then consciousness and awareness might not have even got separated initially, and might not have united again, and might not have created this whole universe at all, right? So the Ashwini energy is what causes the first move for the creation, the first S that makes creation possible. It's some pure motion. It's not at all, does not have no discipline, no patience, nothing. It's very, very no hesitation, no delay, no wait of time. So if right? So that's how the whole creation happened. No duration, no learning, no unfold story, just consciousness and awareness, right? Just they never appear as two, even if this particular quick action was not happening. There would be only one endless flash in the whole universe. That's it. The endless flash, that's it. No life force, no universe, nothing. Endless flash. But when this endless flash, when from this endless flash the awareness came out, and then the consciousness also followed it and reunited, that's where the whole life force. So for the play of life to happen, for awareness to step out, explore itself, and then find its way back, something had to introduce this time, distance, and patience. So in the Vedic imagination, that is of course imagination and all this Saturn's domain, the power that slows light into form gives kind of structure to movement, right? So basically Ashwini Nakshatra opens the gate for this birth, motion, vitality, and everything. And Saturn is a kind of it sets the boundaries. It's all about form, discipline, continuity. So together they make a complete circle, if you observe, even though they are opposites. So creation that can sustain itself and eventually evolve back to consciousness. So simply the Saturn in Ashwini is in one way it is a kind of beautiful position also, even though Saturn is not comfortable. If you learn the whole thing, right? If you learn the Saturn lessons here, because see, without Ashwini there would be no creation. Without Saturn, creation would never mature, right? So Ashwini gives the universe its pulse, and Saturn gives the patience. So both are needed. In a way, this is also a very good position. That's what I can tell you. So if you observe the whole process of that consciousness and awareness getting separated and united, it was a kind of action without direction. And you can clearly see that's why the Ketu, the planet Ketu became the ruler, right? So that's why, see, when the sages assigned Ketu as the ruler of Ashwini, it wasn't random at all. It's because the process of consciousness and awareness separating and then reuniting, the very moment when creation begins, is exactly the kind of, it's a directionless, it's spontaneous. but it's deeply spiritual movement, right? The creation of universe is a kind of spiritual movement. This directionless, spontaneous, and deeply spiritual energy. Who can represent this one other than Ketu, right? No other planet can represent this whole action, because it's that particular action was very, very directionless. It was spontaneous. It was deeply spiritual. If you want to assign Saturn as a ruler for Ashwini, it's not at all possible. Just now we discussed there are two opposite forces, and Saturn cannot be directionless, right? So who can rule this Ashwini Nakshatra other than Ketu? Ketu isn't of course, it's not a physical planet. It's a mathematical point. It's south node of the moon. But the energies of Ketu, if you observe very much, it's perfect, a suitable planet which can rule Ashwini Nakshatra, right? So it also represents the detachment, that awareness and consciousness, that awareness detaching from the whole big flash. And it's a kind of, Ketu is a kind of invisible spark that moves without clear direction, right? So, and it's a kind of liberation also, liberation energy, awareness liberating from the whole flash. So clearly, our Vedic seers excellently assigned Ketu as a planetary ruler of Ashwini Nakshatra. Ketu is a force that acts without ego, moves without a fixed plan, and creates transformation by accident, not by intention. Just by accident, Ketu creates, transformation. That the transformation, the biggest transformation that ever happened, in, I cannot say in the whole universe, because it is, the transformation itself is nothing but the creation of the universe itself was the biggest transformation ever happened, right? In the universe, if I say in the universe, it may not be very much correct, because that was the creation of universe itself. So the nature of the first moment, if you observe in the very beginning, when consciousness and awareness were they separated, there was no goal, no plan, only a spontaneous vibration. Is not it organized by thought? If it was organized by thought, then Mercury would be the ruler. If it was organized by some desire, then Venus would be the ruler. If it was organized by some purpose, then Jupiter would be the ruler of Ashwini. So there was no plan, there was no goal. It was a clear, spontaneous vibration. It's a primordial impulse, just like a spark jumping out of some stillness, right? So it's just, that is Ketu's domain, that is Ketu's energy, the energy that just moves not because of will, but because moment is the nature of existence. That's it, right? There was no purpose, I wanted to tell you. There was no purpose, there was no goal, nothing, just it happened. That's it. It's a kind of creation through disconnection. Creation began because there was a kind of forgetting. There was a kind of awareness couldn't bear the full light of consciousness and turned away. That turning away created duality. But through that very separation, life and healing were born. It's a kind of, that separating, that creating. This is a kind of, there's a kind of disconnection energy here. So Ketu is can be only the ruler of Ashwini Nakshatra. Action without direction. Ketu acts like fire. It's like an lightning. It's like a lightning. It's instant. It's unpredictable, purifying, spiritual. That is Ketu, the purest you know, energy that can rule Ashwini Nakshatra. Ashwini energy shares that quality. You know, the horse doesn't ask where, it just runs because it must move, it moves. So this primal motion later gives rise to all directions and all purposes and whatever, everybody defines their own purpose and whatever. But in the beginning, there is only motion for motion's sake. Why motion happened? Just for motion's sake. There was no purpose, there was no goal at all. Right? There was no goal, there was no purpose. So it was purely directionless as a spark. Right? It's a kind of, the whole creation was a kind of movement born from unity's self-separation. So there was a big flash. In that you had that awareness and consciousness as a self-separated. That's it. Whole and then reunited happened. Universe created. So kind of formless, directionless, a kind of liberation energy was present. So that's why Ashwini is Ketu ruled. Both have the same mystery. Creation that begins without reason and ends in realization. That is Ketu. That's why so many people have the sudden incidents in their life in the Ketu Mahadasha, and then finally Ketu Mahadasha ends with realization. It's some kind of realization for that particular person. So thanks for watching this video.